Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast, episode number 32. Big Buck Registry is a virtual museum of hunting stories. We preserve a piece of Americana by interviewing and recording hunters about their hunts and experiences from across the country. And who knows, maybe we'll learn a thing or two along the way that'll help us take our hunt to the next level.
Hello, Big Buck Registry fans. This is Allison Roberts-Ellman from Doe Girl Cosmetics and Scent Elimination Products. It's about 4:45 a.m. Saturday morning, and I'm gearing up for a big hunt today. I've got my Doe Girl makeup on, the bow is in the truck, and I'm waiting for this week's Big Buck podcast to come out. I learn a little something every week that I listen to the show. This is Allison Roberts-Ellman, and you're listening to Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Jay Scott, your host of the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast, and we're back for another episode. This is episode 32 of the podcast, and I'm also here with my good friend and field correspondent from Ohio, Dusty Phillips. Dusty, what's happening, man?
You know, snowing again. Bring on the snow, I reckon. What's going on in New Hampshire? Anything? What's the weather like?
It's cold, man. Just bitter cold. It was so nice. It warmed up to 45 degrees. You and I were texting back and forth, and like, man, that's not what I got here. And that kind of went away fast. It was here for about, 5 or 6 days, that nice 40-degree temp. And it felt balmy, and now it's gone. Now it's just ice, cold, freezing, windy. I hate it.
It's the same way here. Earlier in the last year, early first part of this year, the deer were just farting snowflakes. Now they're hanging icicles back there. It's cold. We're -2 tonight.
Man, oh man. I don't know how they do it. I mean, it's a absolute mind-blowing concept when you think about how animals can survive in cold temperatures like this outside.
Yeah, for sure. And we think about everything. You got pets and stuff, bring them in.
Absolutely.
It's cold out for sure.
Yeah. Hey, we got a good show tonight. I got a special guest, and now and then we get a request for a share and that kind of thing. We get a good deer that's been submitted. And it seems like we do bump into people that are on television. They're real down to earth people, blue collar, but, representing the blue collar hunter. And we love them because they open up, they share their stories. They have no problem coming on the show to kind of promote what they're doing and tell us, about how they got there and where they came from. And, tonight we've got one of those stories.
And the blue collar, when you say that, it automatically makes my mind saying to keeping it real.
Yes.
That's where I tend to lead. When you say, here we got a group of blue collar hunters, we know we're about to get in a conversation with somebody that's keeping it real, and they're just like me and you. That's what makes it unique,
Yep. It's just, you're going to get the truth. You're going to get the real stories. And, even though they're on TV, they're still grounded. They're rooted back to their homes. In this case, we're going to be speaking with Greg Francis from Pass Through Productions, which is a production and television company out of Michigan. And, he still grew up there. He still lives there. And that's pretty much where they do all their filming. It's a group of about 12 people. And, they have a television show on the Dish Network, channel 266, called The Providers, which is basically about, amateur blue collar hunters doing 100% fair chase hunts in Michigan and putting food on the table.
Yeah, that's what we like. It's not only we do it for a passion, but it boils down to putting food on the table.
Right. I mean, there really is some good sustenance here. When you get into venison is pretty healthy meat, and it'll feed your family. And if you're a good hunter, you'll feed your family a lot. And if you're not, well, you might want to ask your buddy.
For sure. Let's get a hold of Greg and let's get this rolling.
All right, let's get Greg on the horn. Greg, welcome to the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast.
I appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Greg.
Definitely, welcome aboard. It's always good to talk to a fellow hunter and have them on the show and find out how they're doing it and see if we can pick up a few tips and tricks along the way.
Well, I definitely don't claim to be any kind of a professional, but I have been lucky along the way. So it'll be fun to discuss it with you guys.
Well, it's funny. Not everybody that comes on the show claims to be a professional. More often than not, people say they just seem to be lucky, but we think otherwise. We think there's some skill involved.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. I bet my buddies would be willing to argue with you.
Good. We'll get them on here. We'll have a whole debate on what's luck and what's skill. So,
right.
If you're shooting some big bucks, then it's going to be some skill involved. I thoroughly believe that, but it is also being at the right place at the right time. So, it is what it is. But I want to hear all about what you've got going on. I want to hear about your production television team, and I want to find out about your TV show. I want to find out all about the big deer that you shot that you submitted to the Big Buck Registry. And
sure.
But most importantly, I want to know about who you are. Where are you from, Greg?
Sure. Well, I am actually from a small town in south central Michigan called Danville, located real close to the capital city in Michigan of Lansing, and grew up in a farming community that we have lots of farm land, and actually we have quite a bit of public hunting land around it too. So it was kind of natural for myself to come into hunting, even though my family members weren't real big into it. I had a lot of buddies coming up through grade school and that type of thing. Them and their families being involved kind of intrigued me and got me into the sport of especially deer hunting at a relatively young age, and have kind of also come into turkey hunting and the fishing and some bird hunting and rabbit hunting and all that fun stuff that goes along with it. So I still live local in the south central Michigan area, and my buddies and I, about 5 years ago, were sitting down watching a lot of the shows on the Outdoor Channel and Sportsman's Channel and all that, and we kind of got to the point where we said, the deer that we're seeing from Kansas and Iowa and some of the other big buck states in the United States just weren't something that we could really relate to as far as being hunters from Michigan. And
right.
We went out and bought our first camera, and no expectations whatsoever, but got lucky our first year with one video camera, and were able to get enough footage to put a 2-hour DVD together, and that's where Pass-Through Productions was born, and we've kind of kept the ball rolling from there. And this past year, we're lucky enough to start our national television show on the Hunt Channel called The Providers. And basically what we're all about is trying to showcase the average blue-collar hunter, not in any high-fence situation, everything's fair chase, shooting the kind of deer that the average everyday person shoots for the most part, and having a lot of fun doing it and keeping our families involved and putting meat on the table. So
that's cool.
That's kind of the background behind us.
Yep. So, all right. So you grew up around Lansing?
Yep.
Thereabouts?
Yep, just south of Lansing.
So, and that's where you still reside today?
That's correct. Yep.
Gotcha. So was hunting part of your growing up? Was it like the popular thing to do? Was it embedded in your community and looked upon as a good thing?
I didn't go on my first deer hunt until I was 14 years old, and in my community, I almost felt like the outcast because I wasn't doing it sooner than that. Like I said, a real small farming community. Number one, people enjoyed hunting, but number two, I would say in the small town that I grew up in, hunting was definitely a primary means for putting food on the family table, for families to be able to make it when times were tough, and the farming aspect of things has really gone downhill in the past years, and I think the hunting was a good way for those people to supplement their freezers, and being able to have them stocked up. So yeah, it's definitely almost like a religion from where I'm from, and I kind of got a late start into it, but man, I can't dream of looking back now. So
gotcha, and that's pretty cool, to have. Well, you got a late start according to that community. How old were you when you started hunting?
14 was the first time I went out, and I gun hunted for 3 years, just strictly in our area, shotgun only. So I shotgun hunted my first 3 years, and I shot one doe and I shot a little 6-point. And it was after my third year, I had a couple buddies that were really big into shooting archery and that type of thing, and. Yep. and I picked up my first bow and just absolutely fell in love. And now 99% of what I do is with a bow, whether it's deer, turkey, whatever. I have a passion for archery and the challenge of it that it adds, compared to trying to take aim with a gun. So
very cool. And when did that passion start to progress into wanting to put this stuff on film? What age did that start to develop?
That would have probably been, well, we really started to talk about it in our mid-20s. The nice thing that all of our wives bring up to us that we don't understand because it's the norm for us is that my core group of friends from high school, we're all in our 30s now, but we're all still best friends. We didn't grow apart from each other. Not a lot of us moved away, and so coming up through the hunting and just being at each other's house and watching the national hunting shows on television and that type of deal, it was probably in our mid-20s where we said, hey, we got something cool going here as far as how we hunt and what we do and our personalities and that type of thing, and zero camera experience, zero editing experience. I mean, we were 16 hunters that decided that we were going to put our best foot forward with what we could do behind a video camera. And there was learning along the way. I mean, some of our first things were just absolutely horrible to go back and watch now. But Wolf Creek Productions, which is Steve Gruber and Tom Nelson from American Archer and Deer City, USA, and some of those national shows are right down the road from us. And they were nice enough to take a look at that first DVD that we made, and they sat down with us for the entire 2 hours, watched the whole thing, and kind of critiqued us and gave us pointers. And when things were all said and done, they said, you guys look like you really got something going for you here for being a first year production company. So that kind of gave us the confidence to keep things rolling and to continue learning, and it's just grown into something above and beyond what we ever anticipated.
So you got 16 guys and gals, or 16 guys, like basically high school buddies?
Yep, most of them. At the time, we had 16 of us that were high school friends. We had one girl on the pro staff. And now that we're 5 years into it, we've had, a couple guys that have decided that the filming thing isn't quite for them or whatever.
Sure.
And they've kind of stepped aside, and we brought in some other people. All of our pro staff right now is still from Michigan. But the dynamic of things has changed a little bit over the course of the 5 years, but primarily it's still that core group of friends that goes out and gets it done every season.
That's pretty cool. So when did you kind of decide? Were you just like sitting around a table one night having a beer saying, hey, we really should start videotaping this stuff because we have a unique way to do this? How does that conversation start?
I think it was primarily, if I remember right, a couple of us sitting down watching some hunting shows on television, and it was the third or fourth 150, 160 inch deer that we saw that we said, I can't relate to this. At the time, in Michigan, and still in Michigan, if you shot a deer over 120 inches, you were doing something pretty special. And, to hear of a deer over 150 inches was next to unheard of at the time. That's a once in a lifetime kind of deer around here. So we just said, let's give the Michigan people something that they may enjoy watching a little better. And it really took off from there. And we got a big backing of supporters right off the bat with it because they just thought it was such a unique idea.
Gotcha. Now, did you have the supporters that you had, were they mostly out of Michigan initially, or were they from other parts of the country?
Yeah, actually, until we started the national show this past year, our big slogan was 100% pure Michigan hunting videos. And we did DVDs through turkey and whitetail seasons that sold really well. We started to sell out of them, and we started to realize that, DVDs are tough to get into people's hands when there was so much free stuff that you could watch online. So actually, 3 years ago, we changed to a complete online, I would almost call it like a webisode kind of thing, where every 2 weeks we were updating whatever was going on in Michigan, whether it was, the transition through the seasons. It wasn't just deer hunting. It wasn't just turkey hunting. We were trying to get fishing in there, and, some small game with the rabbit hunting and that type of thing is real big here in Michigan. And we were getting a large number of followers because they could come to our website and watch this stuff for free rather than paying for a DVD.
Gotcha. And this was a website that you developed to post your videos?
We did, yep. Passthroughproductions.com. We still put videos up there, and actually anybody that doesn't have access to this show, the channel that our national show is on, can watch the full half-hour episodes right there on the website. So
gotcha.
it was just a great way for us to try to expand our name out a little further. And like I said, we were pushing the Michigan thing, and then when the opportunity came about with the Hunt Channel to start the national show, we all still do most of our hunting in Michigan, and we all still love Michigan hunting, but we kind of back off on pushing the 100% Michigan thing because we wanted people nationwide to be able to enjoy what we were doing.
Gotcha. So you started out as a local Michigan type of production company featuring mostly online stuff. And at some point you made contact with a national company, and it was the Hunt Channel. How did that develop?
Well, the Hunt Channel actually had their first season last year, and we got a name of the gentleman that does the programming for them through one of the trade shows that we were at. And we made contact with him and submitted a sample video as far as what we had to offer. And they came back at us and said they were interested. And the big thing was, to be honest with you, was going to be the funding of the show.
Yeah.
With us running the website, we had real minimal costs involved for the first 4 years. And then last year, deciding to do the national show, we really had to change our mindset a little bit on how we were going to handle sponsorships and that type of thing.
Gotcha. So you had to go out and find people to sponsor you to make sure that you had some money to put the show together. And does anything come through the Hunt Channel as far as funding, or are you on your own? They're just taking up the video when it's ready.
As far as our situation with the Hunt Channel, we actually pay for a time slot. So what we do is we submit 30-minute episodes. Our time slot is 8 p.m. on Monday nights, the third and fourth quarter, so basically July 1st through January 1st. We submit our 30-minute episodes, and then we get billed back from the Hunt Channel 2 weeks later, basically, to pay our time for our time slot, basically.
Gotcha. And then by doing so, in turn, they're giving you a national exposure, but you've got all your advertisers paying you to be on that show, or basically so that your advertisers are getting a coverage. In turn,
sure,
you can pay for your bill through the Hunt Channel.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
It's always interesting to me. I've never actually asked those questions exactly that way, and I was always curious because I think there are probably a lot of our listeners that someday, might actually have this gumption to actually do something like what you're doing. So it's good, useful information, and basically it's attend those trade shows, right?
Yep, and it's been amazing over the course of 5 years, even just here in Michigan, how many production companies have popped up. I think kind of multiple things there. You're talking about listeners being interested in it.
Right.
The way that video cameras have progressed technologically, it's real easy to get your hands on a video camera that you can produce a television show with now without spending a ton of money.
Right.
And it's the way that technology has come along, it's made it a lot easier for these production companies to come about, whether you have some experience in it or whether you're going to self-teach yourself like we did along the way.
Right. Very interesting. So your Pass-Through Productions is the name of the company. Who came up with the name?
We actually battled about that one as a group of friends for quite a while. My buddy Steve and Ron are the two other owners of the company, and we did lots of shooting in the backyard. To be honest with you, the way we practiced with our video camera the whole first summer was just videotaping us practice shooting and looking over shoulders and that type of thing. And
yep.
Along those lines, as most people probably know, when you're sitting there shooting your bow with your buddy, God only knows what you're going to talk about. And we started battling, trying to come up with names, and finally Pass-Through Productions got thrown out on the table, I think, by my buddy Ethan, actually. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of stuck. It made sense for us. So,
did you take a vote?
I think there was 4 of us out there, and I think all 4 of us just agreed that, hey, this is going to be it. And with 3 of us, kind of being the owners of the company, it was pretty self-explanatory when the 3 of us all agreed on it. So right. It was all said and done in about 2 minutes, and we didn't realize how it would affect us by sticking with us for this long. So.
Gotcha. So
it's crazy. It's crazy how what you can get in conversation about, either when you're shooting your bows with your buddies or shooting your guns. The conversations you have are phenomenal.
Yeah, it's the best thing about being involved in hunting is how tight knit of a group of people it is. And, you know, I can sit down and talk to anybody about hunting and just be open and free about it and know that I'm probably going to get the same thing back from the person I'm talking to, just because we can all relate to each other. But being able to have, you know, your buddies with you there that you've grown up with for the past 30 years, it just brings a whole other dynamic to it. And it takes it from, you know, not only just a passion, but almost into an obsession level, to have all of us grow together and learn from each other and just enjoy the sport that we share together.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. The more folks that we interview, the more we realize that buddies that hunt together seem like they stay together for a long period of time.
Yep, I can say, you know, from our side of it, that every one of us has stood up in the other guy's weddings and that type of thing. You know, we're all close with each other's kids, we're close with each other's wives, and it's a family outside of your actual family that we all know we'd do anything for one another, and that's just a great feeling to have.
Right. There's a lot of bonding that occurs in hunting. We found, whether it be family, friends, it forms a group of brothers and sisters that kind of stay together through thick and thin, and great deal of relationships and friends are formed at that point. It goes well beyond just the hunt.
Yeah, and I tell you what, when you throw a video camera guy with you in the same tree, it totally takes a different turn, because now not only are you the one experiencing the hunt, if you're lucky enough to be successful, or if you sit out there and get skunked all day and get rained and snowed on,
sure.
Now you're doing it with your buddy, and both of you have that story and that memory to remember forever, right. and being able to lay it down on film just, you know, makes it alive for everybody to be able to watch it, not just hear you tell the story after all is said and done.
Yeah, those moments really mean a lot. Take us through how you developed from Pass Through Productions, which is your television production show, or your company, to your television show, The Providers. How did you go from that?
Well, the Providers was another one that just popped into us. We wanted to not be the typical hunting show that's out trying to shoot trophy animal after trophy animal. We wanted to be the providers, the people who put meat on the table, who bring home paychecks after working 40 hours a week, and maybe because you're working a 9-to-5 job, you only get, you know, 6 or 8 hours to maybe sneak out and hunt on the weekend a couple times, and still have the time to give to your kids and your wife and piece everything together. And anybody that watches our show, that's what our fans love, is the fact that they can relate to us. We're no different than they are. We just got a video camera with us and you know, allow the world that wants to watch it to be able to see. But other than that, you know, we're nothing special. We're not out trying to kill 160-inch deer every time we step into the woods. Would we love to? Yeah, every hunter would. But the reality of it is sometimes you got to shoot a small 8-point to fill that freezer up before the season ends, and your family's counting on you to do it.
Right. I want to read the about piece on your Facebook page. I think this kind of sums up who you guys are. I think it was really a lot of thought went into this one thing, but I think it really describes who you guys are. And as you are describing it to me, Pass Through Productions and their show, The Providers, are all amateur hunters on 100% fair chase hunts on a blue collar budget, putting meat on the table. That's awesome.
Yep, that is it. Keeping it simple and keeping it real.
Very cool. All right, I want to get into keeping it simple and keeping it real. I want Dusty to start taking us through some of your tips and tricks on how you keep it real, and to share with us some of those stories about some of the big bucks you've harvested, specifically the one that you submitted to the Big Buck Registry.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit, get into this hunt, this nice, heavy, mature buck that you sent a picture of in. What did you have that deer scored by chance, just to kick us off?
Yep, we did. Actually, we had it scored just recently at 145 and 2/8 inches.
Man, it's got some mass, that's for sure.
It does. Yeah.
We like to see them big chubby antlers, that mass and girth, man. That's a real nice looking buck you shot there. Let's get in. You're in Central Michigan.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the terrain where you guys do your hunting and videoing at there. What kind of, is there hardwoods, pasture, crops? Tell us a little bit about the area that you guys hunt.
Sure. The area that we typically hunt in, where we grew up at, is it's kind of a nice mixture between farm fields that a couple 100 acres apiece. We've got quite a bit of farmland that butts up to each other, and then we've got 100 acre all the way down to little 20 to 30 acre parcels of woods that you're going to run into in between. And we also get the luxury of a little bit of swamp land around us. So we've got all the things that are needed to make big bucks here in Michigan. The issue is Michigan just has so many hunters, throughout the archery and the gun seasons, that a lot of the deer are taken when they're, maybe a year and a half old buck, and they just don't get that opportunity to grow and turn into the kind of deer that I shot. I consider myself really lucky because our state land, our public land, gets hunted very, very hard every gun season. And the 100 acre parcel that I shot my deer off of this year actually butts up to a big chunk of that public land that I know gets heavy pressure. So for the deer to get to be the size that he was and have the age that he was is almost unheard of in our area. And it's not that he's the biggest deer in the world. It's just the fact that a lot of us don't get the opportunity to see the 4.5, 5.5-year-old bucks.
Right. Yeah. The high pressure and abundant of hunters takes that away for sure. Let's get into, give us a date that you shot that buck. What date was that you shot the particular buck that you submitted the photo of?
Yep. I actually shot him on November 12th. Which stands out in my mind because my first encounter with him, our archery season opens October 1st. I had my first encounter with him on October 2nd, and I felt like he was a deer that I could get in the right position to harvest, but I knew it was going to take a lot of things coming together right. And unfortunately, some odd circumstances along the way, I think, actually pressured that deer too hard and pushed him to a different part of the property. And I knew I was running out of time before our gun opener on November 15th and was just hunting hard and told my camera guy that, I think we got to make a move to a different part of the property. I think he may have bumped down, and he actually went back and headed towards the swamp at the backside of the property, and we got set up in the morning entirely too late. We took the climbers in, and just one of those mornings where it felt like nothing was going right. But at about 9:30 here, he came walking right up a creek bank out of the swamp and heading towards the hardwoods. And we hit a grunt tube at him a couple of times and actually drew him across the creek, and he walked in for an 8-yard shot.
8 yards. That's a close one. On November the 12th,
yes,
what's your guys' weather conditions in early November up there in Michigan?
Well, actually, we got out. It was warm this year. At the beginning of the year, we weren't really getting the temperature breaks, and because of it, I don't think we were really seeing the kind of deer movement we were used to. Went out and hunted the night of November 11th, and it was an absolute downpour all day, and about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it turned over to nothing but snow, and it was a real quick cold snap that came through. Actually, it pushed us out of the tree that night. We couldn't even finish our hunt because the snow was coming down sideways and the wind had picked up. So we got out of there, and when we came back in that morning of the 12th, it was the first time that we had snow cover on the ground, and we had, maybe an inch and a half, but I think it was enough to maybe get the bucks thinking a little harder about the rut that was coming within the next few weeks. And the other thing that snow does is it makes it easy on a hunter to try to be able to see through the woods. So we actually saw that buck from quite a ways away coming out of the swamp, and I think it helped us to be a little better prepared too than just having him get on top of us before we knew what was going on.
Right. So you're saying it's borderline, roughly around 32 degrees at that time that you shot your buck. Being it was raining, then turned over to snow, somewhere around 32. Would that be a correct guess on the temperature at that time of year?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the average temperature for that time of year. It seemed like it was down into the low 20s that morning though, because I remember shivering sitting in the tree waiting to see what was going to come alive. But it was definitely a colder than normal morning. Our high temps literally up until that day were up into the 50s still. I mean, it was a big cold snap to drop the temperature as much as it did.
Right. There's nothing better than a good frosty cold morning to be in the tree stand. They just don't get no better.
Nope. Gives me the chills thinking about it right now.
I think Jay can relate to the same thing. It don't get no better than that.
It does not.
No.
It is heaven on earth.
Exactly.
Let's get in a little more detail to how do you prep to head out to the woods? Do you have any kind of cover scents or sprays that you guys use to head out to the woods? Give us some detail on any of that you can share with our listeners.
Sure. We used to be big on, buying all the stuff that was scent locked and all that kind of thing. And we are all big on scent control. I'm the first person to say that I'm a firm believer that scent control is a big factor in trying to take any kind of a deer. They don't have to be old to be able to smell, that's for sure. And this past year, we hooked up with a company out of Montana called Pass Through Outdoor Gear. The name tied in with us perfect, and we ended up hooking up with them as far as our camouflage went. And basically, I keep my stuff scent-free washed and in a tote in the back of my truck. And, I try to get dressed as much as possible when I get out to when I actually get out of my truck and get ready to hunt. Sometimes I'll throw some stuff in my bag and wait till I climb into the stand maybe to throw my top layer on or whatever. But the big point that I'm trying to make with that is that pass-through outdoor gear camo that we wear, the dissimulation pattern is awesome on it, so we feel like we blend in a ton better, but it doesn't have, all this quote-unquote scent lock technology that nobody's actually been able to prove to me anyways. And just being careful about what we do with it, where we wear it, and keeping it, outside as much as possible. It allows us to fool a lot of deer as far as their noses go. And to go along with that, I'm the first person to say that I love to hunt between 30 and 35 feet in the air. And I think there's a huge difference in being that high up, rather than being in a 12 or 15 foot ladder stand that some guys like to hunt out of.
Do you ever get a bloody
higher? What's that?
Do you ever get a bloody nose up that high? That's up there.
Only if it's blowing about 40 miles an hour and I feel like I'm riding a roller coaster. Yeah, it's
30 or 35 feet. That's up there.
Yep, it sure is.
That's high, man. That's you guys.
That is high. I'll pass.
It takes some getting used to. We got a couple guys on our pro staff that absolutely refuse. We've got a guy that fell off a ladder recently, and it's really made him gun shy on heights. And I know you can kill deer from the lower level. I know it's possible, but I really feel like I get away with a whole lot more being up a little bit higher.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. Jay, can you agree with that? The higher you are, that seems like the more forgiving it is.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, there's always the higher up element where it removes your scent, and it's a little more surprise on the animal, I think.
Yeah, you got a little bit of advantage to get up that far, but that's cool. When you talk that you use a scent-free soap, is there any particular brand product that you use?
No, I really haven't been picky with it. I buy the Dead Downwind laundry detergent. I buy the Scent-Away dryer sheets, I think. It's one of those things where I haven't really found a product that I don't feel works, so it kind of comes down to whatever I walk into the store and it's on sale at time is what I'm going to grab.
Right, I got you, yeah. I mean, that's your guys' motto, that you're, blue collar on a budget, so that makes sense. When you tell us a little bit about, like, do you guys prefer to hunt out hang-ons, or you do a kind of a variety? Tell us a little bit about your stand setups.
Sure. Well, as far as myself and my one buddy goes, we do a lot of our hunting together. What we like to do, number one, because of the height that we like to get to, is we'll buy a set of 3 16-foot climbing sticks, and we'll turn those 3 sets into 2, just to get a little added height on our climbing sticks. And then with the camera guys, a lot of people don't understand how that setup has to go in a tree. So we try to put a hang-on stand where we want the hunter to be, with the idea of having the best shooting angles and that type of thing. But then we also have to put a camera stand that our camera guy can sit in, that we put roughly 3 feet higher probably than the hunter, and we got to make sure that we've got lanes cleared out where he can get some good camera footage too. So we like to be as high as we can. We prefer to hunt out of the hang-ons, but the thing is we have so many small pieces of property that we have permission to hunt on. I mean, I've got pieces of property that are maybe 20 acres. My biggest piece of property is 100, but we just can't put hang-on stands in all those spots. So, we definitely try to make sure that we've got our climbing tree stands ready to go at the drop of a hat. If we need to, we throw them in the back of the truck, and we'll go hit a different piece of property to hunt out of the climbers. And we've actually found some spots over the years using the climbers that we know now that we want to have a hang on there, a spot that always produces for us. And it works out good having a variety and not being afraid of change, I guess. It opens a lot of doors for us.
Awesome. Are you guys allowed to do any kind of baiting in your state? Or
we can bait, but we can only bait during the season. So October 1, we can start to put down bait. Personally, I've never really got into it. Well, by bait, I'm referring to corn and that type of thing. I do like to put down mineral for the deer. We use Massive Mineral Mix. Actually, it's made by a guy here in Michigan that we've got to know over the years, and his product works great. It tends to draw a lot of deer to it. I think it definitely helps to improve the deer nutrition, which in turn grows bigger antlers and that type of thing. So we do a lot more with small food plots. Some of us being farm boys have tractors, others have quads, and some of the implements that you can buy, at local garage sales or find land along the road for sale or something, and just some way that we can get the land tilled up and maybe put in a little half-acre food plot here and there. I prefer to do that over actually pouring out a big bucket of corn. So
right. When you talk food plots, do you have any particular seed variety that you like to use there in Michigan?
No, for a couple of years, I used the stuff by Frigid Forage and had really good luck with it. And recently, the guy from our local grain elevator has hooked up with a Massive Mineral Mix and actually started to do Massive Mineral Mix food plot seeds. So this year, we grabbed a couple of bags of that, and we put out some brassicas, and we put out clover, and had great luck with both of them. So again, I don't think you can really go wrong with seeds as long as you got the right blend. Go with your soil type. You just got to get something that's going to grow out of the ground that's going to draw the deer to it and provide them the nutrition and the year-round food source.
Yeah, that backing up just a little bit there, you said a great point. When you go to purchase food plot seeds, you really kind of need to know your soil and what's going to work best for your area. And you said that there, and that's a great point.
Yep.
Is Michigan much different than many other states as far as the clover and the beets and that nature? All that'll grow there. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, soil samples are real easy to pull and take to your local elevators or whatever. But I'll be flat out honest with you that I've never even pulled a soil sample from any of our spots that we put in the food plots, and we've never had any bad luck as far as getting production out of whatever seeds we put into the ground.
Right. Do you guys fertilize?
Trying to think. This year, I know we did not fertilize. I almost felt like we didn't need it because we had such a wet summer that everything grew whether you wanted it to or not. I'm going to go out and say that I think over my 3 or 4 years of really hitting the food plots hard that I don't know that I have put fertilizer on.
Right. I think you guys got an advantage there as far as the snow pulling minerals back into the ground. I think that snow is a key to putting good nutrition back in the ground just from pulling it from the air. Everybody says, oh, I don't know about that. Well, you think about it, it's pulling minerals on its way back through, the snow in Michigan. Yep. You guys get the snow, that's for sure.
Yeah, yes, we do. And, we're lucky, and I know the further north you get into Michigan, the more you get into the sandy soil and that type of thing. But really, the southern portion of Michigan, we've got great soil no matter where you're at. So as long as the seeds can get the sunlight and a little bit of rain, we really don't seem to notice any issues.
Awesome.
That's fascinating. So your soils are just naturally good. That's great.
Yeah, we're lucky.
All right.
Another way to save some money.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Very nice.
Tell us what kind of bow you're shooting up there. You guys all stick together on that, or you all got different opinions on your bows that you're shooting?
No, everybody's kind of got their own preference, and we don't deal with any kind of a bow company now as far as the national show goes. Mostly because I think that all of us are kind of stuck on our own thing. Everybody's got their own fields that they like and that type of deal. So I myself personally have loved to shoot the Hoyts and spoiled myself a little bit a couple of years ago and bought myself a Carbon Element after I after I sold my old Hoyt bow and had been saving the pennies and dimes for a little bit and got myself a pretty nice bow that I don't think I'm going to be giving up anytime too soon. So
awesome. What kind of broadheads do you put on your arrows?
We, this past year, most of us had already shot mechanical broadheads. A lot of the Rages and that type of thing. And this year we got approached by a company called Raven Broadheads, and they were nice enough to supply us with some broadheads to try out. And man, are they destructive. They're mechanical. They're just a little bit more of a cutting diameter than the Rages are. And as people will see this coming year on the show, some of the deer that we shoot, the amount of blood coming out of them instantly upon impact is ridiculous. And we've all said very, very impressed with those Raven broadheads.
Right. You say they're a little bit bigger than a Rage. Tell us about what cutting diameters they are when they're in full folded out.
Sure. Well, the Rages are the 2-inch cutting diameter, and their cutting diameter is 2.3 inches, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but there's times where you can walk up to the animal and, not to be too graphic, I mean, there's a hole in the side of them the size of a fist, and when you got blood trails like that, it's really hard to. Number one, it's really hard to lose the animal. Number two, it's nice to know that you get a good quick kill on them, and you're not causing them to have to lay and suffer and that type of thing. So,
and that's
just really happy with them all around.
The big holes are being caused by the broadhead.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. If you get the animal at a quartering away shot or anything like that, I mean, the hole is just it's not describable. We tried to show it. We're going through doing the editing for the 2014 shows now. And we love them. We think they're great. It's an awesome selling point, but it's almost gory to try to put something like that on the air when you're trying to make a good family hunting show.
Right.
It's incredible, but every hunter knows that there's blood involved in our sport, and as long as the animal's not being caused to suffer any longer than they have to, I think it's a reality that people just have to understand is there's going to be blood when something gets hit by something sharp or something hard. So.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting paradigm and situation that hunters live in, is that we all know that there's a lot of blood involved when we harvest an animal. Yet on TV and online, you try to remove all the blood from the pictures and the videos. And it must be just related to the gore that is associated with blood.
Yeah, other shows do that. That's one of our big things. Is I say, when we're filming our stuff, I mean, I'm not going to show anything above and beyond that we need to, but I'm just a firm believer that I am not going to clean the blood off my animal before I go up and recover it with a video camera.
Right.
It's when I got to start doing that, that's going to take too much of the fun of it out of me. It's just something I'm pretty passionate about. I appreciate
that. That's a very real element of hunting, and I don't think hiding it up or brushing it under the carpet is a great idea. I think it's good to tell the truth, basically.
Well, and another thing to think about with that, and it really bothers me now that I know how the editing of the shows go and that type of thing, is if you're watching a show on any hunting network where there's no blood on the animal when they recover it, it means that they've already had to walk up to the animal. They've already touched those antlers for the first time. They've already cleaned all the blood off. Then they have to walk away from that deer. They have to hit the record button again and walk up to it and act like they're surprised and think that it's pulling the wool over any of our eyes, that it's the first time that they found it.
Yeah,
that just bothers me. I don't like it.
Those segments drive me nuts. I really don't like that part, because you can tell. It's like it's not the way what it's like when I shoot a deer.
You can always pull that out of the show. That's something else, you can see it.
Yep, and it takes away from that. I want to see somebody's true reaction when they first get up to a buck that they just shot. I mean, that's the moment that you're laying your hands on the trophy for the first time. So why take something away from it because you got to go clean it up with paper towel beforehand?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, there ain't nothing like trying to pack a roll of paper towels where you head to the woods, right?
Right.
right. Yeah, we got enough stuff to carry between hunting equipment and camera equipment. The last thing I need is a roll of paper towel.
Yeah, clean the eyes off with some Windex. It just ain't happening here.
Yep. So, I like to say other shows do that, but that's not what the providers is going to do.
Yeah.
I got one more question for you. What did this big Michigan buck weigh?
He was 210 pounds field dress.
Wow.
Nice. That's a nice buck for sure.
He was huge. He was definitely not the normal specimen coming out of our area. So I've been fortunate enough to shoot 4 bucks now over 125 inches, a couple of them into the high 130s, and I can tell you body size wise, nothing even close to what this deer had. So it was cool being able to kind of live life with him for that month of trying to get him figured out and see how we were going to seal the deal and close the final chapter. And
I like it when
a lot more to me.
I like it when you can get personal with a deer.
Yeah, and a lot of times you hear when you shoot a big buck, especially a free range private land buck, the first thing the person says is, I've never seen this deer before. So basically they had maybe a 20 to 30 second window where they went, oh boy, big buck, got to see if I can get it on the ground kind of thing, where by the time I saw him that day that I actually got to shoot him, I knew exactly who he was and what he was all about, what he was going to feel like in my hands. I mean, he consumed my life for the better part of 30 days. So
that's cool. That makes a great
cool
story.
Yep, and we're actually excited to be able to piece that into the 2014 shows. We think we're going to do a little couple-minute breakdown each episode leading up to it of kind of all of my encounters week to week leading up to the final show when we'll show the actual final chapter being unfolded in front of everybody's eyes.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Dusty, any other questions before I get in a couple other items?
No, Jay, go ahead.
All right. Greg, let's walk through your pro staff for Pass-Through Productions you've got right now. Steve Ackright?
Steve Ackright.
Tell me about Steve.
And Ron Van Meter. Those two do a lot of hunting together. They're the co-owners right now of Pass-Through Productions, and I'm basically a marketing guy and editor.
Gotcha.
And the three of us are kind of the ones that got the ball rolling with it.
These are the guys that you sat down with that first day. So let's do this.
Yep, and that's what really got the ball rolling with everything. And then our friends Joe Ream and Ethan Angstman, Sean Adams,
yep,
and his longtime girlfriend Jen Fisher.
Yep.
Sean is a cousin of Steve's, and Joe and Ethan, are guys that we'd gone to school with. They're kind of the ones that have stuck with us here through the thick and thin of 5 years and continue to put in the work with, to be honest with you, real minimal pay. Nobody in the hunting industry, at least that I know, is getting rich off of doing it. So
gotcha.
We're doing it because we love it. We love to have other people enjoy it along with us, but even us as a company with Pass-Through Productions, we're all still working our 40 hours a week at our 9-to-5 jobs and trying to do this on the side. So it's nice to have a loyal pro staff that's willing to stick with you just because they want to stick with you and the camaraderie involved with it,
right,
and that type of thing.
Yep.
Makes it special for all of us.
So you got Steve, Ron, Sean, Ethan, Austin, and Jen.
Yep.
And
yep.
Joe.
Yep. They're all still with us, and then
Okay.
we've added
AJ.
We've added AJ. Yep, AJ's a great kid. He did a lot of the filming for me on the big deer kill, the big buck that I killed this year.
Nice.
AJ
Tassos.
Between AJ and
right?
Steve, those guys were with me. Yep, AJ Tassos.
Yep.
He's a younger guy that just has an absolute passion for hunting and kind of learned his ropes a little bit this year with learning how to video the things to put a television show together, and he's just phenomenal kid. Love to sit in a tree with him for hours on end, and I definitely couldn't have done what I did this year without having AJ involved.
Nice.
So yeah.
And how about Jason
Yep.
Morton? Tell us about Jason.
Jason's one of those guys where he's got himself in a little bit of a tough position because he loves to hunt and he loves to film, but he doesn't have any of the rest of our pro staff around him. He lives about 2 hours further south than most of us do. So Jason has a tough task of trying to self-film, and phenomenal turkey hunter, phenomenal whitetail hunter, and he's also real big on coyote hunting. And he's got to lug in all the hunting equipment plus all the camera equipment, trying to make sure he's getting all the right shots, with the camera, and still being able to focus on his hunt at the same time. And I would say,
Gotcha.
next to myself doing a lot of self-filming, Jason's Kevin's probably the one that's got it the most figured out.
Gotcha. So. And how about Christopher Sikora?
Yep, Chris and Kevin are kind of our two newcomers that they both live more towards, I would say, the thumb of Michigan would be the best way to describe it to the national listeners. Mm-hmm. And those two guys have been friends for a long time, and they've got some great whitetail properties every year. They're putting down a couple of real nice Michigan bucks, and they do a great job filming it too. And it's just nice to be able to have camera guys that are also your friends, because it doesn't make it seem like a job when you're going out to try to film something.
Gotcha. Let's go through a little bit of the yearbook here. Who's the most likely to succeed?
The most likely to succeed. Oh,
that's
boy.
The question. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever met any of these guys or watched the show, but no, all of our guys. I'm going to avoid your question. I'm going to say that everybody on our pro staff is successful.
Gotcha.
And that's the cool part about it is. Everybody's a hard worker. Everybody has a great 9-to-5 job, which some people would kill for nowadays in the economy. And everybody's great family people. So everybody's already successful in their own right. And
so we're not going to get you to answer that question. Okay,
you're not. No.
Who shot
great answer
of the 12 people here? Who shot the biggest buck year to date?
Myself. The one that I shot this year would be the biggest one out of our current pro staff. We had another guy that we went to high school with, Eric Every, that was his family life got too busy, and that's the reason he left, or he never would have gone anywhere. But Eric, when we were 16 years old, got out of a basketball practice, got home, grabbed his shotgun, never showered, never did anything, walked out to the wood behind his parents' house, sat down, and shot a pretty close, I don't remember the exact score, but pretty close to 170-inch deer.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
nice
he is actually he's still in the Michigan State record books.
No way.
As far as biggest deer that have been taken. Yeah,
that's fantastic. All right,
just a high school kid that got lucky. He's the first person to admit it.
All right, one more yearbook question. Of the 12 people here, who's the biggest brown noser?
Oh boy, I'm gonna throw out Ron Van Meter on that one.
Ron Van Meter is the brown
noser. He can smooth anybody over. Yep, Ron's just a great all-around guy, and we just laugh every time we're around him because he can talk to anybody and get them on Ron's side. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's a good trait to have.
Yep. So let's see. So you've gone through season 1. What's coming up on season 2 that we need to know about?
Season 2 is going to be really cool, and we're excited about it. Biggest reason is season 1, us never doing a television show before, we kind of backtracked to our old footage of the past 4 years, and we had some footage there with, some not high-definition cameras, some footage that was just marginal in the way that the videographer filmed it. And this year is going to be the year where every episode is filmed in full HD. We really took a lot of time in trying to, all of us, improve our camera skills. And I think it's going to be much more enjoyable for the viewers. Not to mention, this season's going to be the 2 biggest bucks that we've ever taken on camera are going to be featured along with 13 other buck kills that all came from 2013. So it's going to be all unseen footage. We were digging back into some footage from our web shows and that type of thing to get last year put together. And this year it's going to be all new for everybody, and it's going to be a lot more excitement, I think.
Very cool.
Especially to our diehard fans that have been with us for 4 or 5 years. It's going to be all brand new stuff on them to watch.
Gotcha. And when should we expect season 2 to kick off?
Season 2 will be starting on the Hunt channel, which is Dish Network channel 266, Monday nights at 8 p.m. starting July 7th.
July 7th.
It'll be running from July 7th all the way through the beginning of January.
Very cool. And where do you want to take this whole venture of yours?
It's a hard question because everybody says that they want it to become their job, but when it becomes your job, is it still fun anymore is kind of the battle that we deal with talking to each other.
Right.
And
we're
all happy where we are. If we try to take it to the next level as far as, going on to a bigger network or something like that, a lot more travel becomes involved with trade shows and dealing with endorsements and sponsorships by your advertisers and that type of thing that we don't want to lose number one, we don't want to lose the aspect of being the average everyday hunter by starting to go to these outfitters to fill episodes and that kind of thing. And secondly, you know, I'm not going to risk my family or my family time to really take it to the next level. We don't need it. We've got our jobs that help pay our bills, and it's not worth it for me to lose any time away from my daughter or any of the other guys, losing time away from their families to really go gung-ho with it. So I don't know how much further we're going to take it. We're at a nice, happy place right now where we're doing what we love and kind of balancing a little bit of everything.
Just keep doing it until it's not fun anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. The day that it stops being fun to me is going to be the day that I call it quits and put my video camera up for sale and go back to just hunting. You know, my wife asks me all the time, well, why are you going to lug the video camera equipment with you? Just go out and hunt. And to be honest, I tried it last year, I think twice, during the late season, and both times I sat out there and felt like I was doing something wrong or that I was missing out on something, because it's become just as much of a passion to catch it on film as it is to actually harvest the animal. So.
Right. Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. Dusty, you have any last questions for Greg before we let him go?
I'm going to branch out. Can you give us one, being you do production, give us one tip that amateur just getting started that maybe can take him to the next level? One quick tip.
As far as production goes, you said?
Yeah, just not only the production part, but like maybe videoing in the woods. Is there one quick tip you can shout out that maybe give somebody a little cutting edge on something? Yeah,
we get that question a lot, and the biggest thing is to buy a camera arm that mounts to the tree. The most amateur stuff is somebody sitting there trying to handhold a video camera, and whether you like it or not, adrenaline's going to come into play. Outside factors, weather, wind, that sort of type of thing. You're not going to be able to hold a video camera still if you're trying to freehand it. And one thing that we hear from every television network that we talk to is people hate shaky footage. And you know too, you don't enjoy watching something shaking around when you're looking at your television and it's making you motion sick. So buying a good quality camera arm is the first step to trying to take it to the next level.
There you go.
Awesome. I hope that helps out somebody.
Very cool. Excellent. Greg, tell us how our listeners and anybody that listens to this show can reach out to you. Where can they find you? Online, offline, on TV?
Sure.
Why don't you run down all those contacts?
Yeah. You can always find us at www.passthroughproductions.com. The word through is THROUGH. We get asked that one a lot.
Right.
Passthroughproductions.com, and there's actually a contact area there where you can leave a message or send us an email. Typically, we respond to those within a few hours of receiving them. We've also got a Facebook page. Pass Through Productions is what you can search to get to our Facebook page. And again, we get a lot of people coming on talking to us. We do some free giveaway stuff on there, and it's just a cool spot. One other thing that we love to do real quick with our Facebook page is during the main part of the hunting season, from October to January, we do a thing called Live from the Stand. And every morning it posts and says, Live from the Stand, October 1st. And then it's not just us that are telling what's happening. It's people from multiple states, different regions, and they're all coming on saying, not seeing anything in Wisconsin, all the way to just 20 does come walking through here in Michigan. And it's cool because if you're sitting in the tree stand by yourself and you're freezing to death, if you got 50 to 100 other people chiming in saying, we're not seeing anything, it's a lot easier for you to make a decision to get down. Or if you're sitting there not seeing anything and everybody else has deer moving, you're in the same moon phase and probably same weather and that type of thing.
Right.
And you can really build off of it, and that's kind of become a hit over the past couple of years on our Facebook page, is that Live from the Stand. So
that's a great idea. It's pretty cool. I played around with that a little bit this year, just doing a text, and had guys from all over the country just saying got some deer moving here, or just saw one big one, or nothing's going on. Always kind of cool to kind of gauge where you're at in your stand when everybody else is too.
Yep. And it's a great way to learn moon phases and that type of thing, as far as, maybe what's working and what's not working as far as deer movement. So.
Absolutely. A little gauge. So you're at facebook.com, Pass Through Productions, and that's THROUGH on Facebook. Do you have a Twitter account?
We're just getting one started, to be honest with you. AJ being the younger guy is kind of running the Twitter account. So I know you can get on Twitter and search for Pass-Through Productions, but off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure what the account name is on that one.
And any company phone numbers or anything else like that where people can call?
Yeah, anybody that has any questions, ideas, or marketing ideas or strategies can feel free to call 517-204-4516, and that's actually a direct way to reach me, and we can see if we can help somebody out or get the ball rolling.
Cool. And you're always looking for sponsors, I would assume, for your shows.
Always, yeah. It's a hard thing in the hunting industry is a lot of people want to be product sponsors, which means they're going to give you either deals or give you free product. But when it all comes down to it, we've got bills to pay to keep the show on the Hunt Channel, and we got to make sure that we've got that covered on a yearly basis. So always more than willing to talk to people about advertising opportunities as far as, maybe having your logo shown in the middle of the show, or all the way to 30-second commercials. We're in charge of filling our own 30-second commercial out too. So anybody looking for some national advertising, we offer great rates, and would love to hear from anybody. It doesn't matter if it's hunting related or not.
Very cool. Well, we're gonna post this all over our websites and Facebook and Twitters and all that kind of thing, both on Chubby Tines Outdoors and on the Big Buck Registry, and we'll definitely spread the word. And I don't know if we're gonna be able to send you any money, but we're definitely gonna get the word out for you.
Well, we appreciate it. A big thing is just that word of mouth marketing, and like we say, we try to appeal to everybody, and hopefully people enjoy watching the show and enjoy our personalities that we bring to the table. And I've loved being able to deal with you guys at Big Buck Registry, and wish you guys nothing but the best.
Well, this is great. We like going a little deeper in with our share for share clients and getting to know you a little bit better. So this has been fantastic.
Anytime you guys decide you want to hear me ramble on and on, I'd be more than willing to come back and talk to you about it.
Well, I think
awesome.
When season 2 starts airing, maybe we can get you on to do some director cut type play-by-play and just kind of tell us what you were thinking at that moment. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Be more than willing to do it.
Very cool. All right, Greg. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for spending some time with us and sharing all the insights, what's going on with Pass-Through Productions.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Good luck in the future.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, man, that was awesome. Thanks to Greg for being on the show and tell us all about the television show, The Providers, and Pass-Through Productions. What'd you think about that, Dusty?
Blue collar. That's enough said right there.
Yeah, I love the blue collar mentality, the amateur, the 100% free range type of stuff. Nothing staged. I loved how he was talking about how he doesn't want to go overkill, gross. Let's highlight the bloody gore, but he's not going to cut it out either, because that's real. That's part of the hunting. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think that's taken away from a lot of shows.
I agree. I mean, and you got to cut into the cavity. You got to get the guts out. There's a whole smell to that is just sometimes not great, especially if you got a little gut shot going on, or if you make a small cut that's not quite right when you're starting to cut open the cavity. If you do it right, it actually comes out smelling fine, but there's definitely some realness there, and there's some real atmosphere there if you get in the wrong area. Yeah. And it's like doing an autopsy. You're opening up an animal. It's a bit startling the first time you do it. And
I agree to that.
Right.
And it gets a whole lot easier the more you do. Absolutely.
And it's the more you do it, it's just no big deal. It's like anything, it's anything you do for the first time is a bit startling. Then you get used to it, and it's just part of the gig. Well, that was awesome. Dusty, how can people reach you?
www.facebook.com/Chubby Tines Outdoors. How about you, Jay? How can people reach out to the Big Buck Registry?
Well, we're on a bunch of different places. We're on Facebook.com/Big Buck Registry. Twitter is Big Buck Registry. That's our handle over there. You can always give us a call and share some feedback about the show. We like the feedback. We like to know if you like the show or don't like the show. We even welcome the anti-hunters to call in, because I would love to play an anti-hunter call on the show. I think it'd be fantastic. 724-613-2825. And let's see, if you're listening to the show, you're probably consuming it either online, you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Blueberry, Libsyn, TuneIn TuneIn Radio. We're on all those basically podcast directories. So if you have those, always send a share to your friends. Let us know about tell them about the Facebook page. Tell them about Jay and Dusty and Chubby Times Outdoors and the Big Buck Registry, and tell them that you can actually listen to the show for free right online or on your iTunes device or your Android phone or any of those smartphones out there. It's all available right there. You can listen to it on the way to the stand, coming back from the hunt, in between, cutting out for lunch. You can listen to it on the way to work, on the way home, and just, put some good ideas in your mind about what you want to use next year to make your hunt more successful. Did I sum that up all right?
Yeah, it sounded awesome. And the journey as we go here, we want to learn something. We want to maybe give you a tip or a technique that helps you out in the woods. And if by chance you run into something that you heard on the Big Buck Registry, let us know. Let us know if you use something that you heard on here and it worked for you.
Yep. And that has certainly happened for quite a number of hunters we've heard from. They've called us, texted us, sent us a message by Facebook and just said, had I not listened to your show, I never would have shot that buck because I learned something from your guest. I learned something from Dusty of the way he does a certain thing, and I tried it, and guess what? It worked.
That's awesome.
We had that exact same thing happen with Dean Vanier from Northwoods Common Sense. One guy listened to the show. He ordered some buck urine, and next thing you know, he's shooting a big deer.
Voila.
All right, man. I think that's a wrap. This has been a great show. Thanks again to Greg from Pass Through Productions, and I think we'll call it a night.
Yeah, awesome. We thank you to the listeners, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. All right. This is Jay Scott,
and I'm Dusty Phillips,
and this is the Big Buck Registry's Big Buck Podcast. See you next week.
Can't wait.